Yes, I am back with another fine specimen from Todd Rexford. I don't know if he makes a bad knife. All the ones that I have seen, all of the ones that I have handled, I really kind of like. Is it a perfect knife? No, it's not. And we'll talk about that because, well, you know me, I have to nitpick on something. So we'll talk about that. There is something on this one that isn't my fave, but that's okay. Sadly, this one doesn't belong to me. Maybe it will in the future. I don't know. We'll see. This belongs to John. He lent this in, and I'm really glad that he did. Now, I recently bought this Todd Rexford Singularity C, and I love it. It's not perfect either. It's got some gunk on the blade. I don't know if that's showing up on the camera or not, but I just used it to do an unboxing video a few minutes ago. So, yeah, we're going to talk about it compared to this injection is the model. And this is an older one. From what I understand, this was done about 8 years ago. And the story is, at least what I have come to hear, that this was the last injection that Todd made. Carbon fiber, one of my favorite materials. Mokume, not really my favorite. I don't have anything against it, but it's just not my favorite. You know, it's okay. It is my friend Eric's favorite material ever in Utah. So he's going to get a kick out of this one for sure. And then it's got zirconium for the pocket clip, zirconium for the thumb studs. I believe it's zirconium pocket clip, pivot, and backspacer, but I can't confirm that. So 4 7/8 closed, 8 5/8 overall with a 3.75-inch blade of M390. Beautifully hand-rubbed satin. Did a fantastic job. Let's just zoom in and show you guys what we've got here. Beautiful hand rubbing, beautifully milled out thumb studs. The Mokume is excellent. You cannot feel the seam between the Mokume and the carbon fiber. No voids that I have seen in the carbon fiber. I really like the milling here in the backspacer and the fact that these ridges stayed raw and not black. It just gives it, almost looks like they're inlaid tubes or something, right? But they're not. They're just milled out of the backspacer material. Hidden hardware on that pocket clip. And then you have the same style milling on the pivot that we had on the backspacer. Liner lock. M390 blade steel there on the blade. And then his logo name back here on the spine, which is a little different than on mine. He put the steel on the similar area of the blade. But because there's a swedge here, there's not really a good spot to put his name. There's jimping and stuff. He just put it on the side. No big deal. And again, just a quick, since we're here, a glance at the milling of my Singularity C. This is a inset liner lock, so it is thinner. Considerably thinner than the injection, which is just a liner lock. Now, I am having a hard time picking a favorite because they're both fantastic. I don't have to pick a favorite because I only own one of them. But if I had my choices, I might prefer to have this one in my collection. Now, one interesting thing about this one, because it is an older model, this is running on washers. I don't have very many washer knives, but one interesting thing about it is it does not drop shut. It barely even shakes shut. However, it is so glassy smooth. It's like magic. It's so smooth, you would think it would just kind of shake with a couple of shakes shut, but nope, it doesn't. Now, this guy is also on washers from Tim Gallion, and it runs like it's on bearings. Like, you got to move your finger out the way or else ka-chunk, ka-chunk. So it's hard to say that, oh, a bearing knife is always better action than a washer knife. That's just not true. And I've heard people say that. This one is on bearings, and it is a little more drop shut than I would probably prefer. But, and yes, I could crank the pivot a little bit and fix that, but I like to just leave the knife the way it kind of came. That's just my philosophy on it. So this thing is fantastic. It weighs in at 6.7 ounces, which to me is not a problem at all. I've been carrying the King Battle at 11 point something ounces for 190 plus days now. And this thing just fires like a rocket and has that very, very satisfying auditory ring. It just goes more thunk. This one's a little bit lighter, a little more ting. I kind of like the girth of this one a little bit more. It just fills my hand a little bit better. And partially I think that is because I have been carrying the King Battle for so long that sometimes when I pick up my Rexford, it feels a little thin because I'm just not used to carrying it right now. Now, this, yeah, I do need to send this back to John at some point. I'm not even asking if it's for sale or available because I'm afraid he might say yes. And I'm afraid the price might be not crazy enough where I had to say no. Plus, I don't necessarily like to do that. When people loan stuff in, it's not, I don't have any ulterior motive to try to snag it away from them. Sometimes that happens. Yes. Maybe in the future, if he ever does go to sell it, I will let him know that I am very interested. The one thing I don't love about it is the pocket clip is really stiff. There is really no real spring to it. So it is really tight coming out of the pocket. And if you've seen my Facebook and Instagram, I did a picture the other day of my pocket all torn apart, right? And if I remember, I'll try to insert it here so you guys see it. So when the pocket clip is really tight like that and your pocket is already in disarray, it really eats it up even more. Okay? Now, that is also something that on my own Singularity, I wish there was a little more ramp to come out of the pocket. It goes into the pocket perfect. And there is some more give and spring to this one. But if it had a little more of a ramp to come out, that would be my preference. But again, that is Dirk's preference. Yours may be different. I know that this is not ever going to fall out of my pocket. I know this is not going to fall out of my pocket. This for sure has the similar problem. It's super tight, a little bit too tight for my liking. But that's nitpicking. That's that's looking to find something wrong. But I like to just, and it's not even wrong. It's just a different preference than my own. Okay, there you go. I've rambled enough on this. Check out my Todd Rexford playlist up here in the corner. If you want to see the amazing knives that John also sent in, I will put the unboxing that he sent over here in that corner, which I don't ever link unboxings because it's kind of silly, but it's an epic array of 4, 5, 6, like 7 knives that are all, if not more epic than this one. So yeah, go check it out if you haven't seen it already.